We are living through a planetary war over who controls the Earth. I'm going to show you an amazing way to look at this that I am certain you have never heard before. Hi, I'm Saratoga Ocean, and I work together with an interdimensional, interuniversal, and extraterrestrial force known as Telstar, along with Archangel Michael. Okay, let's talk about what has clearly become a planetary war over who is going to be in full control of this Earth. Now, on the one hand, we have what has so far been a planet of diverse cultures and countries and peoples, and all of that has been, for better or worse, still integrated with the natural state of the Earth. And then on the other hand, we have an alien force that is not native to the Earth that seeks full ownership of this planet and every living being on it. And that force would be probably physically recognized as AI, but there's more going on behind that. Now, before you jump to conclusions and say, well, that sounds pretty outlandish, Saratoga, let me explain why I'm saying this. Everything this force proposes is harmful to the planet and to all living creatures on the planet. And you only have to look at the human minions of this force that we call the controllers and all of their plans, all of their belief systems, which are very much insane, to see that this junk could not have arisen from the harmonious integrated whole of all living beings on the planet itself. This came from somewhere else. And when I'm finished explaining this to you, I think you're going to be absolutely amazed at how much you will be able to see all of this for yourself without having to just take my word for it. Now, take a moment to think of planet Earth as a living, conscious being, because that's what it is. If the Earth produced this force, I'll call it a force for now, let's just call it a force. If the Earth produced this force that seeks to do things that could lead to the destruction of this planet, that would mean that the Earth is suicidal, which it isn't. So when we see an influence come into this planet that is destructive and detrimental to this beautiful sphere of life and all of the life forms on it, well, that's rather clear that it's alien and not native to the Earth. The problem we have, one of the biggest problems we have, well, there are two things. There are two lies that we have been told that are extremely serious lies. And you're going to understand why I say that in just a moment. The first lie has been told to us by the authoritative institutions referred to as science and religion. And these institutions have told us, with what they call their full authority about everything and anything that exists, which is preposterous, of course, they have told us that there's no life anywhere in the entire cosmos, in the entire universe. Why? Well, the scientists will say, why can we say that? How can we say that? Well, because we haven't discovered it. And as long as we haven't discovered it, we cannot verify that there could be any life in the universe. Okay, I was thinking about this the other day. Do you realize we're talking about a so-called scientific elite who can't even get themselves to Mars? I mean, literally, they can't get to Mars. They have the most ridiculous technology to fly these rockets up in space, like that's some kind of a grand accomplishment. And it's ridiculous technology. These are the very same people who can't even get to the planet next door, who claim to be so informed about the entire universe, the entire cosmos, never mind the galaxy, but just everything that exists, that they're going to tell us if there is life elsewhere. And their verification is, well, we put those satellite dishes up in southern New Mexico somewhere. I don't even remember. What did they call it? The vast array. And it beams out radio waves. And hey, if there was life out there, it would respond to us. So this is the basic scientific view, right? So we're told this lie that these people are so brilliant, so smart, so incredibly amazing. They can't even get to Mars. They can barely get their rockets to leap up in the air before they fall back down in the ocean. But they know everything there is to know about the entire freaking cosmos, right? Okay, so that's the first lie. The second one is religions, who it's very inconvenient for religions to have us know that there might be life elsewhere in the universe, because they claim to also be authorities based on their ancient books, which don't say anything about life anywhere else in the cosmos. So we have science and religion that tell us there's no life anywhere. That puts us in a box where our entire perception of reality can be completely controlled in a way that is advantageous to those who control the planet. Now, the other lie is it's not like a blatant lie. It's more of a manipulation tactic. So Hollywood has led us to believe that aliens, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them, well, they arrive in spaceships. See, that's how you know it's alien, because it will come in a spaceship. So if you don't see anything in a spaceship, that means there's no aliens here. It's just us. These two lies have devastated, absolutely devastated our ability to fully comprehend our planetary situation at this extremely critical time. What those lies were designed to do was eliminate all of our reference points in such a way that would make it impossible for us to fully understand what is going on in this earth, and has been going on for a very, very long time. If we don't have a way to understand what is happening that is aligned with the reality of our situation, we are going to be lost. So what I want to do right now is I want to share with you an analogy that you already know about, and show you how what is happening on Earth is very much parallel to the analogy that you already understand. And hopefully from that, we can really get a powerful picture of the terrible situation this planet is in right now, because this planet is fighting for its life. We can get a picture of the actuality of what is going on. We can get our bearings, we can find our center, and understand how to find the strength that we must gather within ourselves in order to know how to deal with what exactly is going on here. And this is going to be practical and something that you will be able to see for yourself. Now, because of duality, there are parasitic forces in this universe that tend to function on similar principles at a macrocosmic way and a microcosmic way. So let's look at those principles in a smaller way that we already understand, and then we'll be able to see how those same principles are being mirrored in terms of the attack that is happening on our planet Earth. I think you're going to find this really, really interesting. Let me say firstly that the forces behind AI are like a virus. AI is very much like a virus. It is parasitic. So let's use the body as an analogy. Let's start there. Let's imagine for a moment that your physical body is like a universe unto itself. Let's imagine that your cells are like planets inside that universe. We could imagine an organ is like a galaxy or something along those lines, but I think you get the idea. Now, inside the universe of your body, everything is designed to exist in harmony. Everything within your body, in its natural state, is native to your body. And each and every one of these cells are alive and they have energy. So if we liken that to a larger version of that, which would be the universe, we could say the universe is like a body of creation. We could say a planet is like a cell inside that larger body of creation. We could say that a planet or a galaxy, maybe a galaxy is like an organ in that larger body of creation. We could say that a planet is a singular cell that is alive and has energy, just like the cells in our bodies are alive and have energy. Now, let's go back to the body. When a virus enters your body, it enters as an alien entity that is not native to your body. It is an invader into your body, into the universe of your body. Now, here's the interesting thing about a virus. A virus is not considered to be alive because it does not have its own energy. It has to invade a cell in order to become activated and begin to reproduce. So once that virus invades the cell, it basically hijacks the metabolism of that cell and uses it for its own purpose so that it can begin to replicate. And this is why a virus is essentially parasitic, because it can't do anything on its own. It must have a living cell to invade so that it can use the energy and the structural workings of that cell for its own benefit. In other words, it turns the purpose of the cell away from its natural state and makes the cell start to operate in favor of the agenda of the virus. Now, I learned about something related to viruses and cells that is referred to as coevolution. And I want to read a description of this to you all because I'm going to show you how this exactly mirrors what we are experiencing on this planet on a global scale right now. So let's start with this definition of coevolution. Coevolution of viruses refers to the evolutionary process where a virus and its host species reciprocally influence each other's genetic changes over time, essentially meaning that as the virus evolves to better infect the host evolves defenses to better combat the virus, leading to a continuous, quote, arms race between the two organisms. This is often described as a virus-host coevolution dynamic. I don't know if you can start to see a parallel here, but I'm going to explain to you specifically and expressly what the parallels are. Here's another key point about this coevolution phenomenon. Both the virus and the host are constantly adapting to each other's evolutionary changes, with the virus trying to evade the host's immune system and the host developing new immune mechanisms to fight the virus. So in other words, both the virus and the host are constantly responding to each other and are in this weird kind of co-evolutionary dance. And it really depends which one has the strongest influence. That's going to determine who is going to win, which side of that little war is going to be victorious. Now, if the virus is victorious, it's going to start to replicate inside the cell, and eventually the host cell will die. So can you kind of see the simple construct of that? You have a living organism that has energy, that produces energy, and then you have this alien thing that can't do anything by itself and is parasitic, invades the cell, takes it over, and in the process of taking it over, uses the cell's assets, natural abilities, on its own behalf which ultimately kills the cell, and then the virus is replicated. Then it goes on to do the same thing to another cell. Oh my goodness, you guys. This is exactly how AI operates in the universe. So now let's look at our planet Earth. Let's think of planet Earth as being like a singular organism in the larger universe, being kind of like a cell. Now, what I'm going to describe to you is not as simplistic as a virus in a cell. It's far more complex, far more long-term of a process. But I just want to share this with you so that you can see the same exact principles are at work in the cosmos when it comes to our planet Earth. And then I'm going to explain to you, how did we get in this situation, and what can be done on a planet so that this never happens? So just like you could say that a virus, in a way, kind of uses a cell as its breeding ground of replication, AI similarly uses a living planet such as ours as a breeding ground for its own replication. AI has no energy of its own, none whatsoever. It has no capacity to build anything or create itself on its own. So because it's parasitic, it has to invade a planetary realm, take over the assets on that planet, and use those assets for its own benefit, which is ultimately designed to be such that AI can replicate, multiply, and move on to other planets and other areas in the universe, in the galaxy, wherever it seeks to go. It functions in such a similar way to how a virus functions with a cell. It's absolutely amazing. Now, what happens in a cell when a virus invades it is eventually the virus replicates itself enough times that it just bursts through the cell wall and the cell dies. Now, similarly, if left unchecked, AI tends to leave organic planets barren of natural life. Once it goes into a planet, invades that planet, and is able to reproduce, leaving the planet barren, such as a virus leaves a cell dead, basically, then it can go off to other planets to repeat the same exact thing. And that is the danger that we see on our Earth right now. We can see the signs in some of the things that we hear from the controllers. Now let's go back to what I said earlier about how when a virus enters a body, a human body, it does so invisibly. You don't see it happening. You just start to see the symptoms. You feel sick. You're not energetic anymore. You're really tired. You might have a fever. You start to see symptoms and you know that something is very wrong. AI is very interesting because it invades a planet invisibly as well, just like a virus invades a cell. You do not see it happening. So if there's a weakness in that planet, and I'll explain how the weakness occurs in just a moment, what happens is, think of AI as an influence. It enters as an influence. It enters almost interdimensionally. It begins to influence, guess who? Humans. Why humans? Because human beings are meant to be the stewards of the planet. Human beings are the creators. They are meant to be the guardians of a planet. We're not just here to mess around and have weird experiences just because we feel like it. We have a powerful role in a planetary realm. We are in no way fulfilling our role as human creators on planet Earth. Not even remotely so. So where there's weakness among humans on a planet like there is here, and I'm going to explain a little bit more in a moment how this works, it is very easy for that AI influence to enter the planet, and people don't really notice it, right? They just don't notice it. This goes into what I said earlier about the two big lies. Those two big lies lead us to believe that whatever humans are doing here must be part of being human, because there's nothing else going on. We're the only ones. So if we did it, it must just be a part of us. And so we let it all slide. And then we have all of our stories about suffering and death. And I'll get into that in a moment and show you how that contributes to our weakness and makes it impossible for us to fulfill our role as guardians and stewards of a planet. And these influences come in, and they might take centuries to develop and evolve, because a planetary timescale is by no means the same as a cell. It could take centuries. It could even, in some cases, happen over thousands of years. It's not a fast overnight process, because the AI as we could call it a cosmic virus, I guess, if you want. It's not the best word, but we're so limited in the English language. We don't have a lot of words and concepts to work with here, so we just have to find the closest words and the closest concepts and kind of use them as indicators of what needs to be understood, rather than be able to say that they are 100% accurate, an accurate representation of what needs to be understood. So sometimes you just have to see what I'm sharing you as an indicator. So the virus enters interdimensionally into humans. And what do you think happens first? Symptoms. We start to see symptoms. Something's not right here. Now, quite a while back, and this is a video I did several years ago, I brought up a film called Koyaanisqatsi. I don't know if any of you have heard of that film. I think it's a Hopi word translated meaning that when translated means world in peril or world in danger, meaning planet in danger. This was a brilliant film. There was no dialogue whatsoever. If you might be able to find it on YouTube, I don't know, but I might try to find it and put a link, but it's an older movie. It's just got, all it has is a musical soundtrack for the entire film. It's all visual. And if you watch it, you will see in that film the symptoms that were in our face as a civilization not all that long ago that we completely missed. And this film illustrates those symptoms so beautifully. But because we don't know about anything in the universe, because we've been lied to, we just assume, well, we did all of that stuff. They're not really symptoms, they're our human creations. What if a cell said that? What if a cell in your body was invaded by a virus and the cell said to itself, if it could talk to itself, it would say, well, it's happening inside of me. I guess I'm the one doing it. You see what I mean? It doesn't even make sense, right? So the film Koyaanisqatsi shows you the symptoms. They weren't the first symptoms, but they were far enough along that we could have easily recognized them. And probably if we'd been in our right minds, we would have recognized those symptoms many, many years before this film was even made. Now let's go back to the analogy of the cell for a moment. Imagine if a cell had a very strong cell wall or a protective membrane around it that did not allow a virus to enter, that somehow the virus could not enter that cell. Maybe the cell is extremely healthy. I'm not an expert on viruses, okay? I just know a little bit that I've shared here with you today, but I can just imagine that maybe there are cells that are super healthy and the virus doesn't even have the ability to enter a cell. And if that's not true, it would be nice if it was true. But on a planetary scale, what could be the thing that would prevent the AI virus from entering that planetary realm, infiltrating its life forms, specifically humans, and taking over the planet, ultimately with the intent to destroy it? In order to understand the answer to that question, we have to know who we are. If we were in our right minds, if we were absolutely whole as beings, we would, first of all, we would be a protective envelope around the planet. You know, maybe that's why those controllers want to get rid of all the people. I don't know. Anyway, I digress. We would be like a protective envelope of vibrational power around a planet that AI would not even be able to enter. And even if it succeeded, the moment we saw the symptoms, we would do something about it immediately. But that's not what happened here on Earth, is it? You know why? Because here on Earth, we don't know how to recognize the symptoms. Let's talk about why that is. See, we are so confused collectively about who we are on this planet. We are so riddled with duality as humans that we had no defenses possible to prevent this alien invasion from happening. So what is going on in our consciousness that is making us so incredibly clueless? Well, let's take a look at that. Here's what it is. As a collective humanity, we tend to believe in suffering. We believe in death. We believe in pain, misery, poverty, all of those negative experiences, right? We don't like them. In fact, we really dislike them very intensely. However, we have been influenced by religion who have told us, well, this is a test and God likes to punish people and all that nonsense. But we hold up the existence of suffering, pain, death, and the like as somehow sacred. They are sacred little gods that we claim we need in order to evolve. We claim we need these bad experiences in order to appreciate the good in life. We tell ourselves, oh, but hate is good because hate is how you learn to love. We are basically insane. We have elevated these very negative experiences into something of a sacred religion. We say, well, you know, these kinds of experiences are good for us because we learn so much and they help us grow and they motivate us to evolve. Bad things happening are very motivating. Guys, I've heard this for years from so many so-called spiritual people. It is absolutely preposterous. It is clearly evidence that we are literally insane. I have heard this for years from people who live very comfortable lives, who feel that it's entirely legitimate, you know, as you're holding your lovely cup of tea in your nice little apartment where everything is comfy, cozy, and you don't have any real problems, to say, you know, it's really nice to have suffering and pain because that's how we learn, that's how we grow, that's how we evolve and become more wise. What I have always proposed to such utter nonsense, in my opinion, it is utter nonsense. What I have always proposed is for those very same people to go to a country, well, how about Gaza? How about you all who still believe that? How about you go to Gaza and look at those people, look at those children who are suffering, look at the starvation. We all know what's going on there. And say to them, hey, you know what? It's okay because you're going to learn from this experience. You're going to grow. It's going to help you. Nobody could do that. You know why we can't do that? Because we know in our right minds that that is complete bogus nonsense. To think that death, pain, suffering, and misery are good things and we need them. Because you could never look at another person suffering to the extent that so many people on this planet are suffering and tell them that it's good for them. You couldn't do it. So why do we continue to harbor this ridiculous spiritual belief, this absurd personal growth notion that these things are necessary? Now, with that sort of a belief system that is so deep, so entrenched, and so much a part of our human identity, so we believe, we've made it part of our human identity, unfortunately, what that does to us is it puts us in a mode of anything goes. Whatever happens, we did it. It may, or it was supposed to happen. I love that one, right? Oh, it was supposed to happen. If it happened, it was supposed to happen. What does that even mean, you guys? We are in dire straits right now. We cannot continue with this absurd version of reality. So when all the people on earth are buying into this, all the religions are telling us this is God's will for things to be like this. Do you have any idea the level of vulnerability that we have placed ourselves under with this kind of nonsense? How can I call it nonsense? Well, you can prove it to yourself. Check your heart. Does your heart believe that this stuff is good and real and everybody needs to experience it? Does your heart believe that? I'm going to guess probably not. That's where you're going to find the truth, because I will bet that your heart will tell you that none of that junk should even exist. That it's all a sign that something has gone very wrong. It's not necessary for learning, for life, for strength, for anything. It's purely destructive. That's all it is. So when we have welcomed such things with open arms, I know we don't like them. I know we don't want to have those experiences. We don't even want to wish them on other people, but yet we have this spiritual belief that they need to be there. When we live from that place in our consciousness, we have no ability whatsoever to discern the symptoms that arise from the kind of alien invasion that I described to you. We can't even recognize it because we just think, oh, it's just more of the same. It's just stuff we made. It's just stuff we invented. It's just stuff we did. I mean, that's all it is. That's what I mean. We are literally out of our minds. So a belief in the existence of pain and suffering and good, bad, right, wrong, light, dark, all of that, love, hate. By embracing duality, you render yourself a broken human being. You're broken by duality. We are all broken when we believe in duality. Now, we can live in duality like we do on this planet Earth, but we don't have to believe in it. It's when we believe in it, when we embrace it, when we say it's important and necessary for our growth and evolution, we render ourselves broken human beings. We are literally broken. Let me ask you a question. If you can accept that as human creators, we are powerful beings, if you can accept from checking in with your heart that it makes sense to you that we are designed to be the stewards and the guardians of a beautiful planet such as this one, if that makes sense to you, then you tell me how the spiritual embrace of pain and suffering and death and all that horribleness does not leave a wide open door for any sort of parasitic force or entities to come into this planet and completely take it over. Because if you believe that, you're going to see all the signs and symptoms as just being, hey, we already know we need suffering, pain, and death and all that stuff, so this is just more of that, right? We've gone way beyond that now, you all. Where we are right now, I think where we are right now is what I shared with you earlier about the co-evolutionary basic war between this parasitic alien influence, AI. AI stands for artificial intelligence, but to me it also stands for alien invasion and alien influence and alien intelligence. So AI is probably a pretty good couple of letters to describe what's going on here. Now, with all that, I want to read to you one more time a little piece of the definition of coevolution, because now I think you're going to be able to see for yourself that that is exactly what we're experiencing right now here on Earth. Coevolution occurs as the virus evolves to better infect the host, and the host evolves defenses to better combat the virus, leading to a continuous arms race between the two organisms. This, my friends, is precisely what we are currently experiencing here on planet Earth. We are experiencing the very same arms race at a macro level, at a cosmic level. You could say that AI is evolving us, we are evolving AI, and we are locked in this war over who is going to win. Who is going to be the superior force that wins over this beautiful planet Earth? We are currently in a co-evolutionary battle with AI. Now, I want to mention something about the shutting down of speech. And I want to show you how this fits perfectly in with what I said about how we are in the throes of this co-evolutionary battle. What is speech among human beings? It is a natural function of human communication. It appears that many who are in charge of this civilization have now been infiltrated by this force. How do you know? Because it's just too unified to be something that a bunch of individuals came up with on their own. Human beings aren't that good at such things. Humans on Earth are not very good at planning things together, getting together, never mind having a planetary takeover structure. Do you all notice how in the past few years, we get the same messages from every single source, from all these controllers? How is it that they're all on the same page? They don't even seem to make any effort, yet they're all on the same page. That's another symptom, you guys. That's another sign of that infiltration into so many entities' minds. And it is spreading now. Can you see how it's spreading? So speaking, is a natural function of human beings. It is part of what makes a civilization and a humanity coherent. It's part of what allows a civilization to evolve and to think, because speaking freely equates thinking freely. So when you see speech being shut down everywhere, what you're seeing, if we can go back to the virus in the cell, we could say, that's weird. It's kind of like the principles of a virus shutting down the workings of this planetary cell. Now let's go, because when you shut that down, you are literally shutting down one of the major functions of human creators. You're literally shutting down that function. And that is now happening all over the planet. We also should recognize the fact that the controllers do not like biological life. They have said so. They do not like carbon. They don't like life, you see. And that's what I mean. You can see the hints. You can see on the horizon all of these symptoms, all of these statements being made, all of these things that are suddenly bad that are part of the biological world. I really think we need to go beyond just looking at individual people and saying, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. We need to go past that, you guys. That's not the totality of what is happening here. We're not dealing with a bunch of people that just went nuts. We're dealing with an alien infiltration. It's so obvious. You know how you see people just turn, all of a sudden they're one way, and suddenly, what happened to that person? Very prominent people and not so prominent people. Wait a second, you never used to be like that. You're completely different. These are symptoms and signs. It's like when you get sick, you have symptoms. We as a human collective have a lot of symptoms right now. We basically have chaos. Now, if you think about that coevolutionary process where that host cell is basically in a war with the virus, you can imagine the chaos that is going on inside of that cell, right? You guys see the parallels here? So I'm sure by now, if you've been watching this far, you're probably asking yourself, what in the world are we supposed to do about this? Well, here's my answer to that. I don't know which side is going to win this coevolutionary battle. I have no idea. Now, I'll speak collectively first, and then I'll speak about us, those of us who want to see for ourselves what's going on. How do we approach this as individuals? On a collective basis, let's say, worst case scenario, AI takes over, the whole thing just blows up in our face, right? What happens from that? Well, maybe, just maybe, the learning that might come from that might be, you know what? Our investment in duality, our investment in our sacred beliefs about suffering and pain and death, our investment in identifying ourselves as these broken humans who have two sides, a good and a bad, our investment in that, our addiction to that, has led us down a very bad road. Maybe it's time to start questioning all of those beliefs. That's a possible thing that could be learned on a scale of evolution, of human evolution, from those who want to go down that road. For those of us who are starting to wake up and say, hold on a minute, I'm not going for this anymore. I'm done with this. You have the power to see the light, so to speak, right now. I do not recommend that anyone wait around until they die and say, well, it'll be okay when I die. I'll just go somewhere else. I won't have to think about this crazy earth anymore. That's not an answer, you guys. It just doesn't work like that. We need to wake up to the truth that is a bigger truth than the circumstances on this planet. We need to wake up to the fact that our belief in duality not only does not serve us, it does not serve anything in this entire cosmos. It's a very bad deal. The existence of duality is the result of a mistake that was made in creation, not in time. There's no history behind it. There's no person who's responsible. It occurred in a way that we do not have the ability to talk about or know with our conscious minds because we're just not big enough in who we are to be able to have that level of reference points. So we got to start where we are. It's very clear that something has gone wrong when you have a state of duality and you have strife, you have division, you have fighting, you have war, you have pain, death, suffering, and all of it. Something has gone wrong. That's why I always say the universe itself is in a process of healing from duality. It is in a process of evolving out of duality. We are a part of that process. So rather than getting mentally caught up in the war that is currently happening on planet Earth, instead of getting mentally caught up in who's going to win, who's going to lose, who's right, who's wrong, come back to center, recognize what's going on, and then say to yourself, you know what? I need to awaken at a level that is so deep, that is so profound, that is so powerful, that I become whole again. That I no longer see myself as a person who's split into me and my ego, my good side and my bad side. I have two sides. Everybody has two sides. We cannot go on like this, you guys. We really have to come to terms with the destructive nature of our belief and our holding sacred the existence of duality as though it's part of some grandiose ascension process. Ascension means to evolve out of it. Ascension is in truth a healing. It's a healing from the state, being in a state of duality. We don't need duality. It doesn't need to be here. It is a result of something that happened that was a mistake. And once everything in this universe evolves out of duality, you are going to witness the spectacular nature of what the real world actually looks like. So I would recommend that we not get all caught up in the stuff going on planet Earth, the big battle that's happening, all the shutting down that's happening, all the control that's happening, everything that we see. And I could go on for another 3 hours about that, which I'm not going to do here, obviously. We don't have to get all caught up in that and get all stressed out and full of anxiety and fear and all of that. We can just pause and say, okay, I get it. I get it. I see where things have gone wrong. And we can decide as individuals to say, no more of this. I'm done. Now, I want to share something with you guys. Some of you already know this and you already have this book that we did a long time ago called The Final Elimination of the Source of Fear. The source of fear is what we call the absence that led to the creation of duality. I won't even call it creation. I'll call it a manifestation. So let me tell you something about this book. This book holds within it a process that was delivered as a channeled event by Archangel Michael and one of the beings in Telstar whose name is Mirabai. We did this event as a live channeled event for I think about 6.5 years. And it directly addresses duality. It addresses the source of duality. It addresses what happened, the entire matrix of how it got created and how it is right now. And we'll show you everything going on and why it's going on in your own life. So anyway, we did it 6.5 years as a live event. People were so transformed. People were begging me to put it in a book. Please, please, please put it in a book so more people can have this experience. And I didn't do it for a while. And then we finally did it. And so we published this book years ago. I only have a limited number of these. Now, here's the funny thing, you guys. I never talk about this. If you follow me on social media, you'll notice I never bring this up. You want to know why? Because I wasn't planning to reprint it. And I didn't want to run out. This is so weird, isn't it? So recently, I think it was like last week or something, Archangel Michael said to me, Saratoga, we need to reprint this book. And I was like, oh, wow. I think that's a good sign, actually. I think it's a good sign. Because there's a process that's contained in this book that is an evolutionary process designed to address very specifically the source of the existence of fear. The source of the existence of fear and the existence of duality in this universe. So I'm letting you know, I still have a bunch of these. If you want to get one, these are not very expensive because I did this so long ago when it wasn't as expensive to print a book. But yeah, if you want to get one, I'll put a link. You can go to my website, saratogaocean.com. It's on there. Or I'll just put a link in the description that'll take you, I think, to Amazon. And you can get it there. But yeah, it's all of a sudden maybe there's a receptivity in the world for people to take another step on an evolutionary basis. Now, if you get the book, read the preface, because that's where I describe what my experience was like when I first went through this process myself. And it was so profound. And to this day, I don't even remember the year this was published. It was a long time ago. And to this day, people still tell me this book transformed my life. The book doesn't transform your life. What transforms it is the process inside of it. I have been told literally hundreds of times, and I don't take credit for the content of this book because I didn't invent this. This came from somewhere else. But I have been told by certainly hundreds of people over time, probably more, I don't keep track, that the process they experienced that is contained in this book was the most powerful, transformative thing that's ever happened to them in their entire life. That's what I've been told by hundreds of people. So I'll just say very simply that the process contained in this book that literally came from elsewhere constitutes a major step in your evolutionary journey. And you know what's so cool? All you have to do is read it. You don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to remember anything. All you have to do is just read it. And those of you who have read it know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'll put the link below. And as far as the war that we're experiencing on planet Earth right now, I will continue to come on here and share with you guys and support you all and help you as best I can so that we can somehow navigate this situation with an understanding that we are in the universe, we are in the cosmos, we are infinite human cosmic creators. We are not the broken humans that we have made ourselves into. That's not who we are. We are powerful creators, and now is the time for us to step back into that truth once and for all and be fully present on planet Earth, because our presence here from a place of wholeness, from a place of truth, benefits this planet enormously. Do you have any idea what a relief it is to the Earth to feel any humans at all who are whole, who are powerful, who are complete, who are love embodied? And that's who we really are. That's who we're meant to be. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it out with anyone else who you think might enjoy a much broader perspective about what is happening here on Earth. And be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because I am here on Tuesdays with all new videos. And with that, I'm sending you so much love, light, and high vibrational energy. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Namaste.